Hello everyone. It's 4 degrees below zero currently, but I just had to come out and talk to you folks about tow rigs. Everybody's idea of a tow rig is going to be different, I think, but I feel like this guy started with a pretty good platform. This is a 2007 Ram 3500 with a 5.9 Cummins turbo diesel and a 6-speed G56 transmission. We just got done doing a rebuilt motor in this by DFC out of Canada, and these guys make just phenomenal reman motors. We've had tremendously good luck with them. Every time we get one, we know it's going to be right. They got a great warranty. The rebuild process is just perfect, and we love installing these things. And you know, like most folks with these pickups, the guy tows a RV and wanted a little bit more towing power, but of course anytime we do that, you know, adding power is easy with the common rail fuel injection, but there's always some supporting modifications. And you guys are looking at one right now, the Banks Monster Ram intake, the ATS intake, the BDX flow. These are all great options when it comes to increasing the inner diameter of that intake elbow, and they do provide real world flow increases. And so we like to install them, but of course it doesn't do any good to install those unless you have a need. And this turbocharger has been a go-to for us, for folks that tow with the 5.9 Cummins for a lot of years. This is the Aurora 3000 direct fit. He already had a BD diesel manifold on this, so we just went ahead and kept that. But BD also makes a great manifold. ATS makes a great manifold, just so long as it's got a slip joint in there to allow for expansion and contraction. That's all we're really looking for. And then of course the increased flow on the inside diameter. As you all probably know, an engine's an air pump, and anything we can do to get air in and out is going to make a difference in how well this thing does its intended tasks. So anyway, this was just essentially a stock rebuild. We've got Mala piston rings, pistons, ARP 425 head studs, just torqued down to their factory spec. This one already came with an S&B cold air intake, but this is exactly what we would have put on had it not. Backing the engine, of course, NV56, the G56 transmission. We just installed a South Bend clutch street dual disc in it. And I have personally been anti-dual disc for a lot of years. And of course I'd show you a picture of it, but I don't have one right now. But their new organic street dual disc is actually very nice to drive. I just got done on a road test, and I'm pleased with the clutch feel. Obviously, being a dual disc is going to have a lot of holding power. It should never be an issue for this. And you know, this motor tuned up really hot is probably capable of making about 550 to 600 at the rear wheels. Regardless of whether or not it will, it probably shouldn't. That little Aurora 3000, that's not quite enough turbo for 550 or 600. But when you're towing, you know, at that 350 to 400 horsepower range at the wheels, that little turbo just totally kicks butt, and it keeps the EGTs in check. Speaking of EGTs, we went to All Reliable, the CTS2 Insight monitor. You can watch all kinds of stuff with this little gauge device here, and to include putting a backup camera on it, which for hooking up bumper pull trailers is totally cool. And this thing's just cherry. It's totally mint. 170,000 miles on this thing, but boy, the previous owner just really took care of it, and we like to see these coming in. Really enjoy these Husky liner floor mats. These things do a great job of keeping that water where it's supposed to be inside the floor mat, and I think they're putting a pretty nice product together. So anyway, just my, oh wait, can't forget about this part. So these trucks come from the factory with a 373 gear ratio, and with the G56, the earlier model G56 doesn't have quite as deep an underdrive, so these trucks tend to rev out at highway speeds, and around Montana and other places in the country, you know, at 75, 80 miles an hour on the interstate. Well, if you want to do that with your G56 third gen, then you're probably running 2400 RPM, and for fuel mileage, longevity, etc., that's a little bit high in my opinion. So we install the Yukon gear and axle 342 gear ratio in these things. On top of doing the gear ratio install, we also like to do the Mag High-Tech diff covers for a little extra oil and cooling capacity. So that gets a couple 250 RPMs off at cruising speed, and that makes things a little bit more comfortable when you're cruising empty, or even with the trailer. There'll be some hills where you got to grab a gear, whereas you might not have before, but that's okay. That's why they make clutches and manual transmissions. So anyway, I'm about to freeze my butt off, so I'm gonna cut this short. Just wanted to show you guys around this truck a little bit. It's really cool, it's really clean. 07 5.9 Cummins, gear swap, dual disc clutch, Aurora 3000, 50 horsepower Dynamite diesel performance injectors, which I failed to mention, a FASS 150 gallon per hour fuel pump, their Titanium series, Banks Monster M intake, S&B cold air intake, and a BD diesel two-piece manifold. Hopefully I'm not forgetting a whole lot. But anyway, hope you enjoyed. If you guys have any questions, post them below. I'll do my best to answer them as soon as I possibly can. And if you would, hit the subscribe button. Thanks for watching.